Okay, more NBA playoffs, more NHL playoffs. We got a first-time starter in MLB. It's Shohei Ohtani Day, and we've been giving great picks, great calls, great everything in this show so far since we've been doing it. So tune in again today, Wednesday, and we'll do it again with you.
Yeah, I'm so fresh like the morning, mouth wide open like they yawning. Every time they see me, they in G-Stride. Homie, this is too far. Homie, I feel too alive. You can see me like Illuminati. You can see me like Illuminati. But I'm trying to...
All right, and welcome to Pub Sports Radio. Today's Wednesday, April 22nd, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We do this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And overall, I don't know if you noticed, but so far things have been good. Things have been going well. Picks overall have been excellent. I mean, we're not doing it quite as officially as we used to, but I clearly tell you what I'm liking, what I bet, and overall, so far, don't want to jinx anything, but they've been going well. We have a short MLB card today with some interesting situations, definitely some bets that I've made and I'm liking, and as always, the NBA and NHL playoffs are very interesting. I did have Atlanta against the Knicks in that game last show, looking bad the whole time. I was ready to write that in as a loss, and they came back. So maybe I'm lucky and good right now. I'll take them both. I'll take just lucky. I'll take any one of those. Shout out to everyone. My 2 cents, AM. Great to see you in the comment section, AM. Love to see what you got to say about everything. Swiggy bets. All right, I got to get my notes here. I got to tweet this out. You guys get your notes here. We don't have a ton of stuff on the card today, so we have the luxury of burning a few minutes while we get organized, get everyone in here, because we do need everyone. And then we'll talk about it. Well, man, it is show. I'll just tease it right now. It's Shohei Ohtani Day. The market just I don't know if they're giving him quite enough credit. It's not like people don't know who this guy is, right? But I don't know, man. His pitching props are a little bit surprising to me. Outs prop looked good. We'll talk about that at the very end of the MLB segment of this show. Let me just quickly tweet this out. Get your notes together, everyone, and then we'll jump right into to MLB today. Let me just tweet this out. Sports Radio show in, baby. All right. And there we go. Okay, good. Great. There it is. All right. Shout out to everyone once again. I'm going to have to pull up some other stuff. A little catching up with my organization here. And then we will jump right into everything. Shout out to my 2 cents, Swiggy, AM, Slaughter, baby. Shout out to Slaughter, hanging in San Antonio. All right, hold on one second. What's going on here? Let me get all my EPL crap out of the way. Where's my oh damn it. All right, here we go. All right. I guess we can dive right in, right? Hold on, let me pull up a few other things that I'm going to want here, and then we'll get into it. Then I'll take a swig of coffee, make a few jokes, spread a few positive vibes. Don't worry, we're going to keep a brisk pace, and we're going to get to everything like we do every show here. Just need to comment. Okay, it's going to be an open roof at Coors in Arizona, which is kind of interesting. Decently hot weather, but not in the 90s. So we'll look at that. Here we go. We can check what Circa has done, and I think we're ready to go. Pull that there. All right, everyone. Get your notes out, and let's start. MLB, first game on the card that we are going to talk about in the evening slate is Milwaukee and Detroit. Milwaukee, of course, won game one yesterday, 12-4. They've now won 5 of 6. They're a good team, good offense, good everything, right? But Mize has been great so far this year, and he had a dud once, which is bad weather, kind of forgivable. On the other side, Chad Patrick from Milwaukee, he's had great results so far, but not really good strikeout and walk numbers. He did get strikeouts last year, though. So he's all right. Milwaukee's, legit for real. Mild weather here, but I did take a shot with Detroit. First 5 a little bit, and a little bit more so. Mize over 4.5 strikeouts at about minus 150 or so. I'll pull up a penny so I can look at more. To tell you what the line is exactly right now at penny. Again, a little bit surprised that the Mize strikeout line was as low as it was, but there's been a lot of surprising lines here that turned out to be winners, and no problem with any of those. Here, let me pull up this, pull up that. There you go. I'm pulling up all the sheets so I can look at quote, see what Penny has at the exact moment that I talk about it. But yeah, so could lose, but I do expect a nice, even though Milwaukee has a nice lineup, a nice solid start from Mize to get a bunch of strikeouts, or at least enough to get to 5 strikeouts. Yeah, right now, all right. Well, Penny has 5.5 at big plus money for Mize. I took like 4.5 earlier at minus 155 or so. I'm sure you can still find that somewhere. So that's what I'm liking. And the Detroit first 5 money line is let's see where we are. First 5 money line. Yeah, first 5. Yeah, about minus 137 at Pinnacle right now. So about minus 135, 140 for Detroit first 5. That's a little bit risky just because Milwaukee is legitimately good. They're legitimately excellent. But I took a shot with it. Milwaukee first 5 at about minus 135, and Mize over 4.5 strikeouts at about minus 155 or so. Let's look at what the market has had to say about this. Let's see. Where is it? Where are we? There we are. All right. Let's see. The hell is it? Oh, and now there's been a pitching change. All right. Damn it. Hall is now the starter for Milwaukee. So that screws everything. All right. So take everything away. All right. Still liking Mize, to get his strikeouts. But now Hall is the starter for Milwaukee, not Chad Patrick. I did check this earlier, so this must have been a recent change. Trying not to make that mistake, but I did check earlier, and it was Patrick. Oh, Patrick's a primary. All right, I had Patrick listed as the starter. So yeah, that does delete my first 5 bet, but not the Mize strikeout prop. So I'm assuming you can still get 4.5. I should probably look to make sure, but yeah, I'm liking Mize to have a decent start, good enough, and for Detroit to probably be okay. Let's look at the comment section here. Yeah, Chad AM telling us Hall is the opener for Chad Patrick. Chad Patrick should be okay. No reason to think he won't be. But yeah, hold on. Let me just quickly check. This isn't loading. All right, we can move on, and I'll tell you if Mize over 4.5 strikeouts at like minus 150 or so is still available. Let's move on. Next one, Atlanta and Washington. This guy Didier Fuentes is going to be starting for Atlanta. We remember him from last year, right? Highly touted guy with some very nice stuff. He did not do well in the majors last year, but he was great in spring training, and he's been great in AAA so far, getting a lot of strikeouts. So, some promise here for Fuentes and high upside. He should be, like a mid-rotation guy long term if he reaches his potential, which I think he will. So he's been very good, and he should be okay here. Of course, Washington won yesterday, 11-4. They lost the first game of the series, 9-4. I might consider betting Washington if Fuentes is good in his short appearance and Atlanta hits Littell and Atlanta's up. I would consider that, but I did bet Fuentes under 2.5 earned runs at like minus 135 or so. Let's see where that line is. Maybe right now at Pinnacle. Yeah, minus 126. I'll make that official. Fuentes under 2.5 earned runs, minus 126. Of course he could get hit. He has been in the majors, and he didn't do well last year. Although he did have an appearance this year again. 4 innings, very good. Spring training, great. AAA great, so he could come up here and get touched. And Washington has a nice offense. We know that they can chase a guy, but I took a shot with Fuentes under 2.5 earned runs, minus 126 current line at Pinnacle, and I think that's a solid shot. And also Littell hasn't been great so far. He got crushed in his last start, and I would be thinking also just Atlanta first 3 at minus 130. I did take a shot with that. Not clear how deep Fuentes would go, so I didn't want to take first 5. I did take Atlanta first 3 minus 130. That's another official thing that I did. Not sure where it is right now, but again, liking Fuentes to have a start that somewhat resembles his spring training starts and his minor league starts, although that could easily hit me in the face and not turn out to be true. Let's look at the comment section. Let's look at the shout out to Old E, Ronnie Lofton. Shout out to everyone. What do you guys think? Hell yeah. Oldie mixed 800 pounds of concrete today by hand. Man, see, that's the God, Jesus, man. I wanna be like a farmhand working with and for Oldie in this fucked up time of AI. That's what I want to do with the rest of my life. And of course, handicap sports lines with all you guys until it becomes just a joke, which might happen, but we'll see. Anyway, shout out to Oldie. And yeah, I do like that. I did take a shot with Atlanta first three and Fuentes under 2.5 earned runs right now, minus 126 at Pinnacle. And that's it. Now let's move on. Oh, Yankees and Boston. Tell me what you guys think about this one. First, let me find that Mize line because I do want to make sure that his you can still get like 4.5 minus 150 or so. Let's see. You're an old reliable Caesars. Yeah, 4.5 minus 159. You get that right now. Mize over 4.5 strikeouts. So I do like that one a bit. All right, next one. Yanks and Boston. Boston home dog here. Fried against Suarez. Fried's last 3 starts just so. Suarez, of course, first 2 of the year were bad. Last 2 were excellent. Yanks won the first game of this series 4-0. Yanks now won 4 in a row. And Boston just in general, not too impressive right now. I do kind of like Suarez to have another decent start here, similar to what he's done, what he did in his last 2. Fried, not quite what we expect from him so far this year. His last 3 starts again, just so. But I did like the under at 8 minus 125, and no real opinion on the side. It's a little bit tricky, but liking and even slightly into Suarez under 2.5 earned runs, even at like minus 155 or so. I think Suarez will be all right. I didn't check the Washington line or the money. Let's just I guess we'll skip it. But yeah, I guess I should have checked that. But no, let's just keep moving on to Yanks and Boston. Fried and Suarez. Cold here in the mid 40s in Boston. Lean under, definitely like in the first 3 under. 2.5 at minus 140. I took a shot with that, and just in general, thinking that that both starters should be okay, and liking the under 8 at minus 125 or so. Let's see where this line has moved. Yeah, now it's down to 7.5, so it's dropped. Wow, look at that. Yeah, dropped almost a full half run. So I took a shot with it at 8, although it made me a little bit nervous to it, but I did take it at 8 minus 125. Took a small shot with Suarez under 2.5 earned runs at like minus 155 or so. Those are the only bets I made. Don't really have an opinion on the home dog line, although it's pretty clear that a small but clear market move in favor of Boston. It's now down to about plus 110, 115 market wide. It was about 10 cents higher opening and on the overnight. So that's kind of interesting, but I don't really want to touch the side at all. Let's see what people are saying here. Jermaine likes Red Sox minus 1.5. Okay. I'm not sure I'd want to be betting into volatility in this one. You easily see the Red Sox taking this by 1 run, but hope you cash, Jermaine. I don't even know what I would do if I had a free bet on a side. And there you go. And AM also liking the under 8 Yanks Red Sox. Only bet for him today, really? Okay. There's a few other bets I made. And this under here makes me a little bit nervous, but I did hit it, AM, under 8. I got 125. You got 115. Very nice. That's the difference between me and AM. It's a small difference, but very significant. All right, let's move on. Next one, Minnesota Mets. Let's talk about this. Pre-lip, major league debut. Let me just make sure there hasn't been a damn pitching change here. Sure, there hasn't been any other pitching changes. Yeah, all right. So pre-lip, major league debut for Minnesota. He's one of these slider pitchers, and slider guys, when they're on their game, they are ace, dominant style, guys who have great sliders, but they tend to have health issues because it's tough on the elbow, and that has been the case with this guy Pre-lip. So he's got great stuff, a great slider, but he does have control issues, and he has had health issues in his career. He'll probably be on a pitch limit here because in the minors they weren't pushing him past too much past 75 pitches. So I'm assuming the same thing will be in play here, and he's got great stuff, great potential. But he's got to control his walks, and long-term health will be an issue for him. And then the Mets, of course, Lau lost 12 in a row, right? In case you're counting. Soto's back, though, for this one, for the Mets. So who knows what's going on, for them going forward. Holmes is starting. He's been excellent so far this year. Minnesota, of course, won won 5-3 yesterday, and the Mets are their 12th straight loss in a row. And I took a shot here with Minnesota team total under. I think Holmes will be all right, you know. And I also took a shot with Holmes over 16.5 outs at about minus 115 or so. Liking that a bit as well. I think Holmes should have a nice little start here. He might not, but I think he should. And, leaning under in general, but the only one I bet Minnesota team total under and Holmes over 16.5 outs. Holmes is a guy who sometimes gets strikeouts and sometimes has good starts with a lot of grounders. So I didn't want to touch a strikeout prop. Pre-lips earn run prop under was tempting, 2.5 at a big favorite line, but still pretty tempting considering what he has displayed in the minors right now. But, it is his first start in the majors, so you always want to proceed with caution with those guys, even with highly touted guys who've been playing great, who've been pitching great. So let me just check to see what maybe these lines are right now. Let me see. Where are we? Let me see what we get here. Holmes outs. Yeah. Oh, that's not there. I got 16.5 at about minus 115, and the Minnesota team total under. I'm gonna go right now 3.5 minus 115. I think that's all right. They could eclipse it, but I think it's probably worth a decent shot. 3.5 minus 115 under Minnesota team total, and Holmes over 16.5 outs at about minus 115 or so. All right, let's close that one out, and then let's look at the comment section and where the lines have moved, if at all. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to Jacqueline. There you go, Jacqueline. Who needs a haircut? I do, and I'm going to get one tomorrow. Believe it or not, that is true. When you're right, Jacqueline. Can't disagree with what you said there. And I am going to get one tomorrow. All right, let's see what the market has done here for this one. Where is it? The Mets game. Where the hell is that game? All right, yeah. So let's see. So yeah, not much movement I'm seeing here. Mets, still like a minus 155 favorite or so, which is interesting because they have lost 12 in a row. But decent sized favorite here going up against first time starter. Total has dropped about a half run from 8 to 7.5, which makes sense to me. I was leaning under, as I said, but wound up only taking the Minnesota team total under. And all right, we'll see. Next game on the card, Philly and the Cubs. Tell us what you think. We've got Kyle Backhus starting for Philly. He's an opener. And then Taijuan Walker, who has had serious issues in first innings of his starts. I don't know if this is going to help. So maybe they'll bring him in the second inning, and then he'll get crushed in the second inning. It's going to be about 50 degrees with about a 10-mile-an-hour wind in at Wrigley. So that should help him out. But the Cubs, have a nice little lineup that can push him. Philly's just been losing. Cubs just been winning. And this one, I really have nothing on this one except thinking that maybe the Cubs were a good bet, even at minus 180 or so. This is still a hole in my game, leaving money on the table with kind of no-brainerish stuff, and this might be yet another one. Cubs minus 180, wherever they are right now, might be a good bet. Matt Boyd starting for the Cubs. His first start he got crushed. His second was better. He's gotten a ton of Ks, and just in general, Philly just doesn't have it right now in a major way. I've talked about this in other videos. The Cubs, reliable, solid, consistent, and then you got what? Taijuan Walker is going to bail the Philly out here? I don't know. I don't think so. So definitely leaning Cubs, but I could not pull the trigger on it. This will not be a some kind of an official play or pick or advice if it does wind up winning. Let's check to see where the line is right now and see if anyone in the comments section has anything to say about this one. Yeah, about a 15-cent move from opener to current in favor of the Cubs at circa, which is what I would expect. I'm probably leaving money on the table. Total 8, jumped to 8.5, and then bounce back down to 8. So yeah, maybe even I wouldn't want to touch. It's like 50 degrees, not a super strong wind in. So, and Boyd is good, but not. Yeah, I wouldn't want to touch a total here. Probably leaning money on the table, not taking the Cubs, but that's all right. I'm not going to do it. Not going to recommend it. All right. Next, and AM says, I actually think Twins Mets is a sneaky over. Two ground ball pitchers with the wind blowing in. Well, yeah, I mean the Twins guy is making his major league debut, and then Holmes, he's good, reliable, but could get hit. We'll see. I feel you at AM. All right. Next game on the card, MLB, Pitt and Texas, Ashcraft against Leiter. This game I did bet. Ashcraft has been excellent so far, although he gave up more runs in his last game. And Leiter, first two starts this year were great. Then I give him maybe a pass for his last two bad starts that were bad on the road. One was against the Dodgers. Dodgers have that nice lineup. And then the next one was at the A's, and it was just bad weather. There was wind everywhere. So I give him a bit of a pass for those two bad starts. Texas won the first game yesterday, 5-1, of course. And I took a shot with I took Leiter over 16.5 outs, about even money. I even took a shot with Leiter over 5.5 strikeouts at -120 or so. That's a high line for him, but I did take it, and I did take it, but I've been leaning Leiter under 2.5 earned runs, even at a big favorite line. It's just I don't like to put too many pitching props that are highly correlated together. So I just took those two. I think Ashcraft probably will be okay. So I'd be leaning under and leaning first three under 2.5, -125 as well. But the only bets I made were Leiter over 16.5 outs, about even money, and 5.5 strikeouts, -125. And I'll go and I'll quote the lines right now at Penny here. What do we got? Let's see what they got here. Leiter strikeouts. Yeah, 5.5 -117. That's official right there. And outs over 16.5 at +100 for Jack Leiter. Earned runs is 2.5 under -176 at Pinnacle. So I don't know if I could take that, but I do think Leiter's going to have an all right start, and Ashcraft, should be okay. But I like Leiter more here, and so that's what I think about this game. We'll check where the lines have moved. Let's check where the money maybe is. Let's check. Here we go. And not much movement. Looks like it just kind of closed in, and definitely about almost a full half run moved to the under, which actually more than that. Sorry, more than a half run moved to the under. At least here at Pinnacle opened 8 under +100. Now it's 7.5 -110. And again, that makes sense to me. I think Ashcraft is more likely than not to be pretty good, and I think Leiter is in for also a solid start for him here. So the first line I saw was actually 8.5 -125. That was a bookmaker. So definitely was liking the under there. Probably be still leaning that way right now as well. And just the two Leiter props that I would bet, and does feel like the first three under 2.5 -125 is maybe another no-brainerish thing that I should take based on the way I see this one. All right, let's see. Swiggy Betts says my Pirates always start strong for the season, seem to fade out a quarter of the way through. All right, so just two plays there for me, and then let's move on. Next one on the card: San Diego, Colorado, Walker Buehler Day at Coors. All right, I don't know, man. Walker Buehler, two nice home starts. We'll give him credit, including one against the Rockies. This is going to be different, though. Now he's going on the road at Coors, about 80 degrees, and I did see it's a strong wind. It's a crosswind, like a 20-degree wind. But from what I saw, it's going to be a crosswind, which is also not great for a starting pitcher, especially when you're as fragile, if I dare use that word, for Buehler. Yeah, winds might start out the game blowing out to right. We'll see. Not exactly sure where the winds will go, but strong winds either across, possibly a little bit out. But in general, I don't like Buehler here. I took a shot with the Buehler under 4.5 strikeouts, even at a big favorite line. And I took Buehler under 15.5 outs, even at a huge favorite line. He could get chased early, but if he doesn't, San Diego, of course, has a good and rested pen, so they might pull him early, even if he has a strong 5-inning start. And so both of those lines I took, and I also took a shot with Colorado first 5 innings at plus money. The first 5 line was significantly lower than the full game line for Colorado, which didn't surprise me, and sort of supported the way I was thinking about it. So those are the bets I made. I took a Buehler under 4.5 strikeouts, under 15.5 outs, and Colorado first five money line. Running the first yes is also tempting at -160. Very tempting. And just Buehler over 2.5 earned runs, even at -150, is also tempting. But let me quote these lines to see where they are right now here at Pinnacle. Yeah, Colorado first 5 +116. Definitely, liking that one at least a little bit. And then the Buehler props, let's see. Pitching outs. Yep, 15.5 if minus 183. I didn't get that bad of a line. But yeah, I did take it. Under 15.5 outs. And then strikeouts for Bueller. Oh, now Pinnacle's 3.5. Juice to the over. I got 4.5. It was a decent favorite line. I don't remember the exact line, but I'll check what good old Caesars has for this one. See if we can get something. Let's see if anyone in the comment section has anything about this one. Let's see. Was close to 12.5. Bueller ground ball profile to limit wind effect, while Sugano is a fly ball pitcher. Power line. Okay, so Sugano. AM. Not necessarily thinking that this. I still think it's a bad spot for Bueller in general, and I definitely, yeah. If you notice, I didn't touch his earned run prop. I just took his outs prop and his strikeouts prop under as well. Which and again, to go along with what AM was saying, if Bueller does try to induce ground balls, that will also inhibit his strikeouts as well. So let's see where we are right now. Strikeouts, all right. Bueller's now 3.5 at Caesars. So the under is plus money, but all right. So I don't know how we're going to be, and his outs prop is down to 14.5 now for Bueller as well, also plus money. So yeah, all right. I took the under 4.5 at a big favorite line, and the under 15.5 at a big favorite line for Bueller's outs. And Colorado, yeah, we'll see. AM saying that he thinks that the pitching profiles here sort of help Bueller a little bit more than Sugano. I understand that, but I think it's a bad spot for Bueller. Let's see. We'll see how it turns out. Let's see where the line is. If there's been any movement. Let's see. Here we go. Yep, totals. Yep, went to 11.5 to 12.5, and then back down to 12. So that's pretty interesting, and not much movement here on the side that I'm seeing. Colorado just holding right at about plus 135 or so. And then and Nasty Nate says Red Sox smash. I don't hate it. Nasty Nate. All right, next game on the card: White Sox and Arizona. Anthony Key for White Sox and Erod starting for Arizona, and he has been absolutely great since the World Series. I mean the whatever the fuck it was called, WBC. His changeup is what he's throwing now very, very effectively. How long is that going to last? I think he'll be okay going forward for a while. I don't know if he's going to be this good going forward. He's becoming very crafty, and it's really working. Curveballs and changeups. He's throwing them a lot more, cutting back on his fastball, which is a smart move. He's gotten great results. Of course, at some point, people are going to look into the analytics and make adjustments, and he will have some mediocre outings, I'm sure, going forward. This one, the roof's going to be open about mid 80s in Arizona, so nothing notable as far as the weather is concerned. And the White Sox, of course, have been hitting on their current trip. They won 11-5 yesterday, and this is just a total pass for me. So maybe we'll see what the market says. Arizona about minus 150, first line I saw, and the total was 9, juice to the over for this one, which makes sense because that's because of the roof being open. And let's see where the lines have moved. Everyone, let us know what you think. Yeah, almost no movement on the side at Circa or the total. 5 cent bump down to the under. Nothing notable there. And all right, so nothing notable market wide, and it's going to be a pass for me. Be interested to see if anyone has anything to say. Yeah, and AM says White Sox bats are on fire, not getting in front of that train. And that was my other note here, which is, I'm not going to bet it. I'm not really sure what to expect. But with the free play, no doubt about it, I'd put it on the White Sox as a dog. Absolutely. No doubt about it. All right, last MLB game on the card, Shohei Ohtani game at San Francisco. Of course, he's been absolutely lights out so far. Molly, bad so far. He did have a good home start before getting crushed in his last start. The Giants won 3-1 yesterday. And I don't know, I leave a lot of no-brainer plays on the table, but I did take a shot with Ohtani over 17.5 outs, even at a big favorite line. That could lose, of course. He could have a great 5-inning start. They could pull him early. The Dodgers could crush crush Molly, and then they'll pull him early for that reason. But, Ohtani is elite and rolling and lights out right now. So I did take a shot with Ohtani over 17.5 outs. I took a shot with under 1.5 earned runs at just like minus 120. And I didn't bet it, but I was thinking about under 4.5 hits, even at like minus 150 or so for Ohtani. And then also, it could lose, but first 3, Dodgers minus 190, first 5 minus 210. Why not? Why would we not think about those? Or even just the San Francisco full game and first 5 team total unders. The only bets I've made so far: Ohtani over 17.5 outs and under 1.5 earned runs. But yeah, it's definitely it's interesting to see that that the lines weren't a little bit higher for Ohtani to have another awesome start. Let's see. Yeah, his outs prop right now it's at Pinnacle just 17.5 minus 165, which is high, but not quite as high as I would have expected. And his earned runs prop 1.5 under minus 117. All right, maybe I'll get burned, but I took those two. And Molly, not exactly sure what to expect from him. I think he'll, in his last start, if you remember, he got crushed, but I did have his strikeouts prop over, and he did cash that. So he's getting his strikeouts. Dodgers are a tough lineup to face, though. So, I don't, like him to have a bounce back spot here a lot, but, we'll see going forward. He's still getting his strikeouts. And let's see what the San Francisco team totals are right now. Yeah, 2.5 at like plus 122. That'd be full game. And then first 5. Yeah, 1.5 under minus 139 right now at Pinnacle. I would that's very tempting. Giants, first 5 team total under 1.5 minus minus 139. I took the Ohtani under 1.5 earned runs prop. So maybe if he gives up 2, I'll get bailed out and they won't be earned. All right, let's see what people in the comment section have to say, and then we'll go to the money here, which tells us not much movement. Kind of at circa the early movement was in favor of the Dodgers a bit, and then it dropped back down. That's full game, of course. So, a little bit lower on San Francisco at circa right now than where it opened. And the total hasn't moved much at all. All right. I just think Ohtani's going to have another solid start and more likely than not to cash both of those props. AM says, I think this game might get over the total. Yeah, that's certainly possible. Dodgers could win it, 8-1 easily. Certainly didn't bet the full game under on this one. That's for sure. Just the Ohtani earned runs under prop. All right. That's it for MLB. Now let's move on to NBA. We got 2 very interesting games on the NBA card. Everyone tell us what you think. Let me pull up the here we go. Let me pull up the NBA sheets here. 2 games on the card. And just to prep what you want to say about this one, because, of course, the first game is Detroit coming off of maybe a surprising loss. I didn't cap that game. I didn't look at it. I passed on it. But it doesn't shock me. I mean, obviously it shocks me. But, rust versus a team that, is significantly worse but has been playing and getting results is something that you do see in all sports. So that's clearly what happened here. Now, Detroit's going to bounce back. How are they going to bounce back? They got to lay it down defensively, right? Of course, they got to figure out something offensively besides Cunningham. They got to lay it down defensively. I think first half under is probably worth a shot. Maybe Orlando full game team total under and Orlando first half team total under. I think those both might be worth shots. The total first one I saw was 219, and now it's down to 216.5, which is what I would have expected. Sorry, that's a Phoenix game. Whoa, here we go. No, it's still 219. That does surprise me a little bit. Let's see. The first half total is wow, and the first half total is a lot higher than the than 50% of the full game total. 112.5. You can get a Pinnacle 113 under minus 112. Look at that. Yeah, I gotta think that's an official play there. Oh, minus 111. Looks like it's headed up. Okay, I don't understand it. Don't necessarily agree with it. I think the first half under 113 minus 111 is worth a shot. And Orlando first half team total under 53.5 minus 106. I think that's got to be worth a shot. As far I'm sure a lot of people are going to be thinking that that Detroit first half spread minus 5.5 or so is good. And it might be. They might come in here and win it 55-38. You know, that's my first half score prediction. Detroit 55, Orlando 38. I don't know. We'll see. But I do like the first half under, and I do like Orlando first half team total under at the lines that I just quoted. A little bit surprised that the total hasn't moved from where I first saw it. And the spread, that's a high spread. It's going to be a bounce back for Detroit. They're probably going to win, and I guess they're probably going to cover, but makes me nervous, and I would not want to bet it. Orlando pretty clearly can hang with them, and I'm not sure I'd want to be betting into needing a double-digit win by Detroit. Let's see where the line has moved and where the money has come in, if any at all. Yeah, I mean, actually, yeah, a small market move towards Orlando. It's now 8.5 at circa. 9.5, 10, 9.5, 9, 9.5, 8.5, 9, and bouncing all around. And right now it's 8.5. We'll see where it closes, but as of right now, the line is a point lower than it was when it opened at circa. And I don't understand this total. Total opened at 217.5 at circa. Now it's 217.5. Now it's 219. Can't really explain it. Don't understand it. Don't agree with it. And I am going to take a shot with the first half under 113 minus 111, and the Orlando first half team total under as well. All right, let's see if anyone likes anything here. And Astute Chaos says, Pete, Detroit's coming in to limit Orlando offensively, but there could be fatigue for Orlando. So you're saying that that maybe the first half under isn't good because Orlando won't be able to D up at all, and Detroit will just put up 70? Yeah, that's possible. Certainly possible. And if that happens, then if the first half goes over, but the Detroit first half team total goes way under, and like Detroit wins the first half by 30, which is entirely possible. The other possible score here is like Detroit 70, Orlando 38. That's entirely possible. Oh, that would be a first half under casher as well. All right, we'll see how it goes. We know that Detroit's going to come with a much better performance here. That's for damn sure. Okay. Let's move on to the next game on the card, which is Phoenix and OKC. This one, of course, I have no clue. OKC, a huge favorite here, a low total. First game, OKC absolutely blew them out, went way under. I have no reason to think that this game will go any differently from how the first game went, but I didn't bet it, and I wouldn't want to bet OKC minus that many points or take an under that low. Although free play, that is what I would do. Phoenix will have some kind of adjustments that they'll make here. How effective will they be? Probably not that effective. OKC, of course, is healthy now and playing great and just playing an awesome style. So maybe there are some angles on this game that have good value that I'm just not seeing. But it's going to be a pass for me. Again, though, free plays, I would just throw them on this game, going roughly how game one went as well. Let's see what happened. If there's been any notable line movement here as far as the market is concerned. All right. Well, the total went from about up 1.5 at circa, and the spread has dropped down just a little bit. So first opening line for circa was 18, 17.5, 17, 16.5, then up to 17.5, then down to 17. So some kind of weak market pressure in favor of Phoenix, which I understand. It's a massive line, but nothing too noteworthy, nothing too eye-opening, and I'm not gonna touch it. All right, let's see what anyone says. And now that's it for NBA. Now let's move on to the 3 NHL playoff games right now. Hold on one second. Let me just pull this up here. All right, first one, Pittsburgh and Philly. Pittsburgh and Philly. Of course, Philly won the first 2 games of this series on the road. Really impressive. Jimmy the Bag is great. He's had a great read on all these playoff games and everything. He liked Pittsburgh. That made me nervous, and I took their team total under 3.5, minus 160. Of course, they got shut out. So now they're coming back on the road. The Pittsburgh is going to be pissed. They're going to be focused. But how much will that really be able to help them? I could see them getting swept here. I don't know. Philly's goals in game 2 were a little fluky. There was a block shot, Karam. That was one of them. There was a shorthanded goal and then a late empty netter. So it's not like Philly was just dominating Pittsburgh offensively. And Pittsburgh, not doing well in their power play, getting shut out. 0 for 7 in the series on their power play. So Pittsburgh should improve here. I definitely did not bet them. I did take a shot once again, though, with first period under. 1.5, no-brainer. I took that one. That's the only bet that I did make. And I would, make it official here or whatever, recommend it. First period under, which could also easily lose because Pittsburgh's going to come out here and who knows, maybe they'll just ramp everything up offensively to try to get some kind of early 2-zip lead and be successful with it. But, I took a shot with the first period under. Not really sure what to expect here, but, I'm not really a believer in Pittsburgh right now. Really impressive. Coming home, small home favorite, and just first period under is what I took. Let me find what those lines would be right now. Just give me one moment here, and then we'll look at the market moves, which I am very interested to see. Yeah, so the first period, 1.5 minus 113, kind of standard. All right, yeah, we'll see how it. Man, no real opinion on the total. I don't know if Pittsburgh is reliable to get 3. Their team total is 2.5, heavily juiced to the over. I like a bounce back from them, probably offensively, but I definitely wouldn't be able to bet that, and I definitely didn't. Let's see if the line has any noteworthy market moves. Yeah, about a 15-cent move to the over at circa from opening. A little bit of pressure. And looks like about 60% of the bets on the under, about 70% of the money on the over. Yeah, I took first period under, but the full game over might be the way to go here. It's just hard for me to pull the trigger on it. As far as the side is concerned, not much noteworthy. Just kind of closed. The spread closed. Not much movement at all. I guess very, very early movement, a little bit on Philly. And then it came back towards Pittsburgh. It's right about where it was at opening. And it does look, though, like the majority of the bets and the money is on Pittsburgh. Seeing like, 3/4 of the bets and 90% of the money on Pittsburgh. And it's moved a little bit in their favor since yesterday, but not that much. So, all right. Maybe a live bet might be worth a shot, but I took my first period under. And other than that, that's it. Luciano Morel bet says Flyer sweep. I could easily see that. Teams do get swept in the NHL playoffs. It does happen. All this zigzag shit. Oh, there you go. Jimmy the Bag. I'm on the Penguins plus 100. Can't disagree with it. I don't know if I can agree with it either, though. Philly, I'm a zigzag guy, I just don't know if the Penguins, they might be one of these teams that's going to get swept. Shout out Jimmy the Bag. Great to see you here in the for the NHL. We got 2 more. Jimmy the Bag, tell us what you think. And AM, there you go. Also interested in first period over 1.5. All right, what do I know? What the hell do I know? I took the first period under. Let's move on. Maybe the next game will be, here we go. Dallas, Minnesota. Jimmy the Bag had Dallas best bet on the card in their last game. I also had Dallas most scared bet on the card for me, but Dallas pulled it out. Jimmy cashed, I cashed, and Dallas got a win. Now, Minnesota's back home, about a minus 130 favorite. Not sure about this total. Both of these teams were getting some nice offensive chances in the last game. Minnesota, a lot of penalties in the Dallas game, the last one, which didn't help them. And I think there's also some issues health-wise with Minnesota. Who is it? Zuccarello and Yakov Trenin are both banged up. Zuccarello did not play in game 2, upper body injury, and last time I checked, day to day, so that's not great. Trenin was left in the first period in that last game, so that's not great. I still kind of think that Minnesota has a nice little offensive team there. I'm not exactly sure how much I trust Dallas here, even though I did pick them to win the series in the contest that I'm in. I was maybe thinking about Minnesota team total over, but it's 3.5. There's no way. There's almost no way I would ever take a team except for Edmonton, a team total over 3.5 in the playoffs. Minnesota's a favorite here, a little bit banged up. Before I look to see what Jimmy the Bag has to say, free play, I think I'd put it on Minnesota, even with the injuries. They had a bunch of penalties. Now they're at home. They had some issues in that game too that are probably correctable. Free play put it on Minnesota. Let's see where the line has moved, and then we'll see what Jimmy the Bag thinks about this one. Let's see. Minnesota. There we go. Here we go. No, small market move in favor of Minnesota. At least at Circa. Small market move. Looks like a slight majority of the bets and a bigger majority of the money on Minnesota, which I understand. Circa opened them around minus 120s. Now it's minus 130 at Circa after dipping down just a little bit. But again, seeing about 60% of the tickets on Minnesota and almost two-thirds of the money on Minnesota. Total hasn't moved at all. Free play, I'd put it on Minnesota, but I haven't bet it, and I don't know if I will be able to. And Jimmy the Bag likes unders. Wow, okay, no side from Jimmy the Bag, but first period under and full game under. Oh man, jeez. AM says Stars need the power play to be competitive. AM says Wilder pass. That's the way I think. Yes, I agree with you, AM. I agree with you. And he says 5x5 Wilder better by margin to the Stars in every analytical category. I agree with that. For me, it was Wilder pass. And as of right now, I have passed. Oh, man. I think I'm still going to have to pass. But no, you know what? I think Minnesota might be a really good play here. Yeah. Like I said, I was thinking about Minnesota team total over. Couldn't pull a trigger on that. Jimmy the Bag likes first period and full game under. No market movement on that. All right, you know what? I'll bet it. It's only minus 130 or so. I'll make that one an official thing that I said. We don't really have official picks anymore, but we do have official things that I said, as opposed to things that I said but didn't really say. So that's an official thing that I said. Minnesota. I think AM's right. No disrespect to Dallas. The injuries aren't great, but that was not a good loss from them, and they should be able to correct it. We'll see. Next game on the card, last game, Anaheim and Edmonton. Edmonton pulled out the win, but it was a typical Edmonton win that we saw all year long, right? Getting up, giving up leads, coming back, and everything. And at the end, they were down, and they were able to come back. And they pulled out the win. But this is not how juggernauts are supposed to win NHL playoff games, right? Juggernauts, they either blow you out or they're awesome defensively and it's tight and then they score one and then it's 2-0. And you can just feel like you're just never going to be able to score like this team. I just don't really trust Edmonton. They give up leads. They come back. They do this as a big favorite. I don't know, man. I know Draisaitl's back, played well. I know McDavid didn't have a point, so he's going to come here and have another good – probably have a good game here, better than whatever game. But, again, Edmonton, a huge favorite here. And I was thinking, Anaheim to score first, maybe first period under, but really I was just thinking like Anaheim to score first, which would be like a small dog line. Maybe thinking about betting, Anaheim live if they get down. I guess betting Edmonton live if they get down as well. High total, 7 under minus 130, and I know no opinion about that. But my only thought here was just, in general, Anaheim probably too big of a dog. And all of their lines, a little bit, their first period line, second period line, third period line, whatever, a little bit too big dog lines being given to Anaheim. And I was thinking just Anaheim to score first is something I was seriously thinking about. Let's see. And Jimmy the Bag, I max bet the Minnesota-Dallas series over 6 games. Yeah, it does feel that way. It definitely feels that way. AM says duck spot. I don't know if I have the stones to bet it. That's the way I was feeling. Over probably just a better way to go. Jimmy the Bag likes Anaheim. Edmonton under. Yeah, I mean, Edmonton is they're capable of playing a good defensive-oriented game, which is what you would want to do if you're playing Anaheim, even if you have Draisaitl and McDavid, right? So I definitely don't mind that. Jimmy likes Edmonton, -1, minus 121. Under 7, favorite bet on the ice tonight. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I can dig it. It's just that, Edmonton just has these games. It seems like they're doing it in the playoffs again, where just they score, they give up goals, then they come back, then they give up the lead again, then they come back in, they give up the lead again. It's just so back and forth with this crazy, wacky team. But favorite bet on the ice tonight from Jimmy the Bag, under 7. That's a high-ass total for a playoff game, no matter who's involved. Under 7, minus 124. And I don't know. I want to see what the what Anaheim to score first would be. Let's check. Let me just see what that line would be. Anaheim to score first. It just feels like Edmonton's not a reliable team as a favorite like this. especially against another playoff team, you know? Let's see. Let's see. We'll see if we can find this. Anaheim to score first. First team to score. Where is it? First goal. Yeah. Yeah, like plus 110. You know, if you shop around, you probably find 115 or 120. Yeah, I wouldn't bet that. But again, like all the Anaheim lines here, I just think their dog lines are just a little bit too high of a dog line. But Jimmy the Bag like in Edmonton -1, and more so like in the under 7 at -124. All right, let's look at. I'm interested to see where this line has moved. If any noteworthy money splits are here, and oh man, pretty much nothing at Circa here. All right, yeah, absolutely no play for me on this one, but I'm gonna be rooting hard for the under to cash, and a little bit less hard, but still pretty hard on Edmonton -1 to cash because Jimmy's on it. Let's look at the comment section, and then we'll wrap this show. Oh, Wager Detective. Shout out to Wager Detective. What do you like, if anything? He's sniping daily. Low volume, consistent sniping. Wager Detective. Shout out to AOD. Let's see. Got anything on the card for tonight, Wager Detective? You want to hit us with before we wrap this up? He's got a lot. Oh, he sniped the over 7.5 in the Angels game. Very, very nice. Wager. These snipers. These snipe. You never know where they are. Then they pop up, and you just got to take whatever they give you, and then they disappear, and then you're just hoping that they show up again, which they usually do if they're like Wager Detective and good human beings. All right, great to see you, Wager Detective. And that's it for today's show. Very interesting stuff on today's card. We'll see how it all shakes out, and we'll see you again on Friday.
It's easier to sleep in the black when you're losing your ass and feeling so. You know what to do. Tune in to Pop Sports Radio. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's a roller coaster ride, you're gonna catch a bad beat. No problem, keep your head up and just bet the spreadsheet. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. All thanks to Jeff Slaughter, these shows have our backs. POD's always rolling, especially the stats. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. We got Jimmy, Jose, Dabby, and the fam. Dutch wine time, Spooner, and OG Wham. So hit the like button. Don't say that you can't. If you know what's best, just put your money on tape.